rock to the rhythm, forth and back, forth and back.
Hey everybody, it's Rich from Paul Marcus Photos again, coming back today with a review, my own personal review of the Canon EOS R. I wanted to use the camera before I dropped any comments about it, but I've had the camera about a month now. I've actually shot two portrait sessions, a headshot session, and 2 weddings. So I've used the camera on 5 real jobs, and I can give you at least my own user experience. I'm not covering the technical details, which are all over the internet. There's blogs, there's videos on YouTube about the actual use, the tech specs of the camera. Please see one of those other videos about the ins and outs of the camera, all the functionality and the hardcore technical specifications. I'm going to give you a photographer's review of, hey, I had this thing in my hand for the last month. I've done 5 jobs with this camera, and this is how it worked. This is what I liked, this is what I didn't like. Okay, so, here's the camera. This is the EOS R. Now, well, it's showing up there, but I have a 50mm EF lens on it right now. I'll talk about the camera in a second. The first thing I want to bring up is the actual box. In this day and age of consumers and consumer shopping and that kind of thing, we've experienced different levels of quality. And that's going from buying shoes, a shirt, going to a restaurant, getting a meal. The presentation is everything. And so you like certain places based on the way that they present their goods. I've had drinks. Drinks taste better in a nicer glass, and if it's brought to you nicely and has a piece of fruit in it, you like the drink better. If they just bring you a drink in an old stained up glass, scratched up glass, maybe it doesn't have that presentation value. And that's the same with every other product you buy. I bought a couple of nice watches in my lifetime, and you get the box. It has some kind of membership card in the box. Now you're part of their exclusive owners club, and you open the box and it's inside of a sleeve, and then you open the box is heavy and you open it up and it's felt lined, and the watch is in there in pristine condition, has a little protective little plastic over the glass, all kind of little small things that says, hey, this is a quality investment. Okay, so most of you can attribute to being an iPhone owner. And the first time you got an iPhone box, you probably were blown away, because I know I was. And every time I've gotten a box, I've come to expect the box is perfect. There's no space, there's no extra space. It's very compact and tight. When you pull it apart, it's snug. And then when you open the inside, everything is detailed and put together in an intricate manner. The cable is wrapped perfectly with a little holder around it. Everything, your headphones, the phone itself is in a nice little compartment. And so you get this iPhone and it says quality. It says, we've taken good care and quality in building and sending this product out, and we're happy you purchased it, and here's your quality product for your hard-earned dollars. Okay, so an iPhone usually, in my going back in years, maybe been from $500 to $1,000 now for a new iPhone, if you were to buy it cash. And so this is called a $1,000 product. An iPhone is a $1,000 product, and it comes in this well thought out packaging. The box is beautiful. It's a hard cardboard, has the emblem and logo on it. It feels quality, and everything about it, as I mentioned, felt like it's a quality product. Okay, so now let's get to Canon. This camera I just bought a month or so ago, sticker price is $22.99, $2,299. And I'm going to say that Canon probably could do a better job in the packaging of an expensive item like that. Because if iPhone can give me a $1,000 product and the box screams $1,000 product, how can I get a $2,300 product and this box doesn't scream that. This box says $500, $600 product. So here's the EOS R box, right? I got the box, I opened it up, and there was some slop factor. There was room in there. Everything was packaged, and then this little plastic piece right here was over top of everything. And inside the box are these little bags of, you know, here's a power cable, and this is another cable to give you, it's like an HDMI, USB kind of connector. And there's a little manual in here, and registration card. The camera is actually wrapped in this little styrofoam kind of a bag. And I'm sure it's dust protective and, you know, maybe has other benefits to it, but it just doesn't seem to me that when you put all these items in here, it's a bottom tray, and then the camera fits in, and then all these things were just kind of, in my estimation, it seemed almost like they were placed in, thrown in. They weren't really intricately placed in there, perfectly snug and fit. And so I wasn't totally pleased or blown away with the packaging, okay? So I just think they could do better. I mean, Canon is a big name out there in photography world, and they're selling cameras that cost upwards of $6,000, $7,000, and this is a $2,300 version, and I wasn't really blown away by this packaging. All right, just my 2 cents, so I'm just going to mention it. I think the Canon packaging is a little subpar compared to some other products in the world that don't cost as much. All right, so moving on to the camera itself. I didn't buy the camera for the box, but at the same time, you know, I'd like it to be a little bit better. Okay, moving on to the camera. I am pleased with the camera overall. I think for my upgrade, it was a win-win. And I'm going to run through the reasons. I was shooting previously a 5D Mark IIs. I had 2 of those. I still have 2 of those. And I've been shooting with those cameras for probably 7 years. And I didn't upgrade to the 5D Mark III because it came out right after I got the 5D Mark II. I got the 5D Mark II late. It had already been out and it was a staple in the industry. And when I bought it, I think 6 months later, the 5D Mark III came out. So anyway, I've been shooting with those 5D Mark IIs for, like I said, 7+ years. And the 5D Mark IV came out a couple years ago. I was interested, very interested, but I did not bite. I waited. So now mirrorless has been in the game since Sony released their cameras, and I considered, you know, getting one as well, but I didn't want to switch brands because then you have to switch everything, lenses and cables and connectors and trigger. All these things are specific by brands, which most of you know. So I didn't want to cash in all my Canon stuff and then revamp and buy all new Sony stuff. I did that once before because when I started in photography, I started on Olympus. So I had an Olympus system and I built that system up with all the different parts and lenses and this, that, and the other. And then eventually I had to sell all my Olympus stuff to transfer over to Canon. And I did not want to do that again. So EOS R comes out. It's the first mirrorless camera from Canon. And I thought it was worth a try. And I'm looking at the upgrade reasons I wanted to change or upgrade my own camera. So I'm going to run through the benefits that I got. These benefits are going from 5D Mark II to an EOS R. And these are the EOS R benefits. All right, so number 1 for me is autofocus. The autofocus on the EOS R is 10 times better than 5D Mark II. 5D Mark II only has 9 dots of focus points. And when you look through the viewfinder, you're seeing 9 dots that you can cycle your wheel or move your joystick over to say, I want to focus on this area of this frame, whether it's somebody's eyeball, their face, whatever. I want to focus here and then take the picture. The EOS R has over, in their book, it says over 5,000 potential focus dots or points, because the screen, if you're looking at the square, the touch screen on the back of the camera, all of this is your focus possibilities, most of it. The very side edges, you lose some, but from top to bottom and almost to edge, you get all focus dots. That increases your ability to focus on anything you're looking at. Everybody knows if you used to take a picture of, you point your camera, you're looking at the camera, you're looking through the viewfinder, and you want to focus on somebody's eye, but based on where they're in the frame, you had to focus on something and then recompose where you want to, how you want to take that photo. And so if you know about the focus recompose thing, of focus and recompose, or focus on something, recompose, that's almost to me gone, because now I can actually compose my photo, and then I can move that focus dot anywhere in the frame that I want to focus specifically. That has been great. It makes me much faster. I'm able to compose a shot, take a shot very quickly. And the focus speed is just as fast as I remember on 5D Mark II or anything. So it's not so much the focus speed, like it focuses faster. It could, I'm not sure, I didn't time it, but it's the ability to focus anywhere in the frame that has really helped speed me up. I don't have all that focus recompose thing going on. It does have face tracking and eye tracking on this EOS R, which is another good benefit, because now if you hold the camera up and look, you'll see this little square right on somebody's face. So if you're just trying to take pictures of somebody's face and you want that, or you want that to be the focus area, it's already there. You don't have to drag so much and point at the face. So that actually speeds up your work for me, saving time. And then the touchscreen, I don't know if you're aware of this, if you don't have an EOS R, but you probably have read this somewhere on the reviews and all that, and I'm trying to show it to you as best I can. On this screen, you can touch anywhere on this screen as you drag your finger across this. If you hold this up, look through here, you can drag your finger across this screen and the focus dot will move where your thumb is. So that actually, I've gotten really used to it quickly, and it actually speeds up my work. I'm able to zoom in on what, drag my thumb where I want to focus and shoot, pull, touch the shutter and take the picture. So it's very quick. The lens ring. Okay, so I have a bunch of old EF style, the previous version of lenses is EF lenses. Now with this new camera, they've developed new lenses called RF lenses. And what the difference is the lens mount is different. So this hole is a different size than the EF lenses. So I have a mount that you had to buy. This mount fits this hole and adapts to this lens. Well, the benefit is I get to use all my previously purchased lenses on this new camera. And that means I didn't lose any money. I didn't have to invest in a whole new setup. Trying to talk to you and see this is not that easy. All right, so anyway, the lens ring the lens adapter has a ring on it. I don't know if you can hear this. It's clicky, meaning you can move it in little teeny clicks for adjustments. And you can program what this ring does for your camera. I programmed my ring to change my ISO. So, how does that help me on a shooting? I'm able to keep my eye up here, move this ring, and change the ISO as necessary. I shoot weddings, is the first thing I'll describe, and I'm inside in the building. Light level keeps changing, of course, from hallway to a reception area to the bridal suite. If I walk outside now, it's bright outside. So you're constantly either adjusting your aperture, shutter speed, ISO, but I'm changing ISO a lot, so I programmed it for the ISO, and I'm able to quickly spin that ISO to what I need to. And so that ring is programmed. You can change it and make it configured to something else, but I use it for ISO. So another thing that I like about this camera is a lot of the buttons and functions and adjustments are configurable. So you can configure the ring, you can configure different buttons to do different things based on you. So how you shoot and what you do the camera can adjust to your work mode, how you work, and I like that. Okay, so there's the ring, the touch bar. Everybody's touched on this, mentioned this touch bar on the back. There's a little touch bar. It doesn't do anything, but until you touch on it, you can touch and drag and slide, or you can tap on the left and right, and it gives you functions. Yeah, I like the idea of Canon trying something different. So a lot of people want the old ring and the joystick and all that. I've actually programmed that touch bar for me for white balance, because it's another thing that I'll change. Once again, weddings. I'm inside, they got a bunch of warm lights in there, everything is orange. I like my photos a little bit more to the blue side, so I'll end up going to Kelvin and jumping that thing down. So I've actually made that bar my white balance. So I'm looking through the viewfinder once again, and I can just touch on that, and in the viewfinder, the menu comes up, and I can slide my finger on that touch bar and change from auto white balance to Kelvin and make the adjustment to what I need. And if I need to flip back, same thing. It's really quick, and which leads me to another point about this camera is you can be shooting and keep your eye to the camera and make changes constantly without ever coming back and looking at the screen or looking at the top and flipping around and then going back in here and checking and do. You don't have to do that. You can leave your eye up here, and with your hands and fingers can make all these different changes. I think that's awesome. I mean, I'm looking in the camera through the viewfinder, and I think it actually makes you look a little bit more professional, because you're not constantly doing something and checking and doing this and checking and doing this and check. Every time you do this, to me, it almost gets into some mode of that photographer don't know what he's doing. Every time I look up, he's looking at his camera and fiddling with buttons and taking a picture and then doing this and test shot and doing this and doing this and test shot and doing this. Slow. If you're taking pictures and you're doing those same changes in the camera, the customer and the client doesn't know what you're doing. I mean, yes, we're trying to make the photo better. We can be trying to make it brighter, darker. You could be trying to make the picture right, but they don't need to, in a sense, see you fiddling around with the settings, which we are going to have to do. And I think it makes you look a little bit more speedy and professional if you can keep your eye up there and take a picture and talk to them and keep them engaged while you're doing it. It's less lag time. They don't get bored and frustrated waiting for you to fix the camera settings. Okay, so electronic viewfinder, that's kind of the next thing on my list here, but that's what I was just touching on. Being able to look in this viewfinder and see what the camera is going to take before you push the button is awesome. I remember when I first started photography, I would walk in a room and I wouldn't know what to put the camera on. I was told to start shooting in manual. So in manual mode, you need to know what shutter speed to use, what ISO, what aperture. Well, if you're a newbie, you really don't know. So I take a picture, I'm looking through the viewfinder, an optical viewfinder, I'm looking in the picture, I can see the person, I can see the trees, everything looks good. I push the button, the photo's black. Or conversely, I push it and it's white. Okay, my exposure's wrong or something's wrong, so I had to figure out what it is, and I didn't know which one to change. That is learning for you on it. Shooting in manual mode taught me how to adjust my settings. But with this camera and the electronic viewfinder, you look through the viewfinder. If it's white, you know you're overexposed. If it's black, you know you're underexposed. And then you can start dialing in the ISO and the aperture and everything and get the picture to come back in. Now, everybody with a DSLR should know that if you use live view and you looked at the back of the screen, you could actually dial in your settings and you could then see the photo on the screen as a way to kind of get you close to where you should be exposed. Well, now you have that same functionality inside the electronic viewfinder. Is you don't have to look at the screen, because if you're looking in here, it's showing you the picture you're going to take. So in a sense, you're seeing the shot before you take it. And if you look through there and it's wrong, if it's too dark or it's too bright, your settings are wrong. It's very helpful for a new photographer. It's very helpful for somebody like me that's been doing this 10 years now. So I look through there, and if I don't like what I see, I can start making changes right there. So the electronic viewfinder is a dream for me. Personally, I love it. Okay, so vlogging, of course. I'm filming this today on my 5D Mark II. Still getting some use out of it because I wanted to show this camera to you guys on the screen. But If you're doing a vlog, if you want to do selfies or anything like that, I mean, you can turn this screen around and I'm able to see myself. So I can have the camera screen and I can see exactly what's in the frame. You can't do that on the 5D Mark II, 5D Mark III, that they don't have articulating screens. So, and of course, this also helps if you're trying to do something cool where you want to put the camera really down low, and you don't have to get all on the floor and look through the viewfinder. You can just put the screen on, look at the screen, or you can put the camera high and look at the screen here and film from over top or take pictures from over top. I use that like on dance floor pictures. Sometimes everybody's dancing in the reception. You want to take a picture of the crowd from above, look like they're having a good time, and you want to get that angle. But in the past, I used to have to stick my arm up in the air and just take a bunch of pictures and just kind of, as they say, spray and pray, spray the whole thing, and hopefully a couple of them shots are good. Next up, video autofocus. There's a function on here when you put it in video mode. I've tried it in auto mode where the camera just figures out the settings and you don't have to deal with any of the white balances and exposures and all that kind of stuff. You just put it in auto mode, but the focus is automatic, so it actually will track. If something's in focus and it moves closer to the camera, it refocuses, it moves back, it focuses. My 5D Mark II doesn't do that, so once it's focused, the focus does not auto track something. So if it moves too close, it gets blurry. You have to stay in a certain spot. So the autofocus on this is nice. I'm not a videographer, but I do shoot some video from time to time, and any little benefit to the video functions on this camera can help me when sometimes I'll film some behind the scenes, or I'll make little video snippets of stuff when I'm shooting a client just for the fun of it, and maybe to post something about the photo shoot, or I might grab a little video clip at a wedding just to try it. So the autofocus on the video can help me, and then it's like I said, especially when I start using this for doing vlogs, now I can focus on myself and it will stay focused on whatever I'm doing. If I hold something up and hold it close to the camera, like right now I can hold one of my business cards close to the lens, it's blurry. But on the EOS, it actually, when I hold something up close to the lens will focus on what's in it. It will focus on that card, and then if I move the card back, it'll focus back on me. It's pretty smart technology. It works good. I think it's pretty cool. Okay, battery life is next. Battery life on this camera, in the read-ups, I read it was supposed to only take 370 pictures on one battery. And I take 1,000 to 1,500 pictures on a wedding. Not saying they're all keepers, but I'm going to shoot about 1,000 to 1,500. I usually shoot about 1,000 to 12 or 13, but let's just call 1,000 to 15. So if I have a camera's only giving me 370 pictures on one battery, it means I'm going to need a bunch of batteries. That means I could, 5 batteries to be safe would cover the wedding. But this is what I've learned on the batteries. Number one, I got the battery grip because I'm used to having a battery grip on my 5D Mark II on my primary camera. I like the battery grip because it actually gives me more to hold on to on this camera. This camera is a little smaller than a 5D, and even on that one, I just like the fact of having the extra. The main thing on the 5D Mark II, I got the battery grip, was when I turned the camera vertical, I didn't like reaching over the top to take pictures like that. I hated that. And I had a wedding where after I shot the wedding, my forearm was sore, and I was wondering why. Now, of course, you're holding this weight in your hand all day, but then turning my hand like this to take pictures, my arm was tired. So I invested in a battery grip. Battery grip made it much easier. Once you rotate the camera here, vertical, you got the vertical buttons. Let's see, can you see? Yeah, vertical button there, and all your dials and everything you can change. So I like that function. Some people don't make a big deal of it, but I love it. I'm shooting a lot of portraits and I'm doing a lot of vertical stuff work when I'm in studio. And so I like all the buttons and features to be at my fingers just like they are here when I'm in landscape mode. When I turn it this way, I like it to be right there. So I'm spinning the camera and I don't have to rotate my hand. With the battery grip on the EOS R, it does give the camera a little bit more weight in the back. So when you start putting lens on the front, you're balanced a little bit better. And the battery life. Having 2 batteries for me is normal. So if the one battery can get me 370, 2 batteries gets me 740. But I learned something else. I bought the new batteries that they have, LEP6N, which is a higher capacity battery for the 5D series as well as this EOS R. They all take the same battery, but the battery with the N at the end of the model number is a higher capacity battery. That battery lasts longer than the other one. So the regular LEP6 or whatever it's called, 370 shots. I haven't seen how many shots you can get out of the new higher capacity, but I can tell you this. I shot a whole wedding with 2 of the high capacity batteries in the camera, and when I got home I still had 1 bar of power on the camera. So in that wedding I shot 1,200 photos. So I shot 1,200 plus photos on 2 high capacity batteries, and I still had some power left. So I think that's pretty good. Let's say that's 600 shot, that would be 12. It's probably 650, that would be, yeah, it could be 700. I mean, I shot a whole wedding, 1,200 plus pictures, 2 batteries, didn't change batteries. And I got home and I still had 1 power left, 1 bar of power. So if you're concerned about battery life, invest in the newer batteries, higher capacity. They cost like $60 each. It's worth it, because if you're concerned on a wedding and you shoot something like where you don't want to be changing batteries a lot, then yes, the high capacity battery is worth it. Okay. Another good upgrade for me was the SD card versus the CF card. Okay. CF cards were seeming like at one point they were so much more expensive than SD. SD were coming out with 16 gig, 32 gig, 64 gig, and they were almost half the price of it. The same capacity on a CF card. So I like the fact that now I'm able to use SD cards versus CF for a lot of reasons. It's cheaper. The SD card slides into my iMac, slides into my laptop. I don't need a card reader. And the technology on SD cards, one thing, I mean, this has old pin style. So when you slide this into the camera, there's pins here. SD card doesn't have those pins, less chance of getting a pin damage or something like that. Now, I've been shooting 5D Mark II all this time. I never damaged a card. I never damaged my camera. But even still, the SD card is a slight benefit from switching. So I enjoy the cheaper memory cards and higher capacity. If I want to get more memory on a card, it's less expensive. So now let's talk about any negatives. I think I've covered everything that I've enjoyed about the camera pretty much that I thought was a benefit for me. Okay, so the negatives that I've seen so far. One is I was on a wedding and I was trying to focus using my thumb on the back of the screen, and the focus square was stuck in the right corner of the screen. So I was trying to take a photo and I was trying to drag the square over into the center of the area and focus on somebody's face. And the square seemed to be stuck on the right side of the screen. And as I kept trying to move it over, it was not moving with my thumb. And eventually I just gave up. I turned the camera off, turned it back on, and it was working. So I don't know what that problem was. Don't know how to fix it, except I turned the camera off, turned it on, problem was gone, didn't happen the rest of the day. It is a touch screen. I was wondering, was my face touching the screen? Was it my hand? Was anything goofy touching the right side of the screen, keeping the square over there, preventing it from moving? And I don't know. And I didn't have time to figure it out because I had the clients posing for their wedding pictures. So I had to fix it quickly. But that was just one glitch that happened to me on a wedding. The focus square got stuck in the right corner and wouldn't move. I could hear it trying, you could see it fidgeting with my thumb. It was trying to move, but it was not coming over. So I don't know what that is. The other thing I had a problem with was my 24-70, which is an L series lens, is hooked up to this adapter. I'm taking pictures with 24-70, and then I looked down and I couldn't change my f-stop, and I kept trying to figure out why. What's going on? I couldn't change it, and I looked at the screen and it said F0. or f0.0, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? And then it dawns on me that, of course, that if your lens is not connected, the camera doesn't see it, and so it cannot tell you the f-stop of the lens. So I'm like, okay, so the lens is disconnected some kind of way. So then I fidgeted with the lens, and then when I fidgeted with it, I looked back and then it said f2.8. So what I think had happened was somehow my lens was not locked into place, or maybe I bumped the little retaining button and loosened it. Don't know how that could have happened. It's possible it happened on my hip or in the back. I don't know. Just something to watch out for is the lens. If it disconnects from the lens mount, you're going to see f0.0 on the screen, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. I don't know if, and it's only happened with that lens, so I don't know if my 24-70 mount is loose or something's not secure, but I'm just going to keep an eye on the thing of, did I make sure it locked in and all that. I am using the adapter, etc., etc. But my point is, I had a connection issue. The lens disconnected from the camera, and I'm on a wedding, and I'm like, why is this zeros? And I can't figure that. And then real quickly, and then I'm like, okay, I found it, was able to keep going. So other than those two issues, the camera's been great. I haven't had major problems. I haven't had any, I don't feel lost using the camera. I mean, I took it the first week or so I played around with it before the first shoots that I had, because I knew there was going to be some times where you're trying to shoot and you didn't know where certain things were or how to change certain things. So overall, the camera's been a great upgrade for me. I feel, after that first wedding I shot with it, I couldn't believe how relaxed I felt all day. And at the end of the day, I felt great. Usually I'm so nervous, I'm so anxious. I'm like, you know, ADD on a wedding because I'm worried about every little thing, and did I get all my shots on the shot list? And this camera actually made me feel a lot better on a wedding. I was more confident. I was more comfortable. I was going through shots very simply. And I think for the fact that I could see the pictures before I took them, I was happy about it. And as I was seeing some of the previews of my own shots, I was very pleased with the results, so I was excited. So I got home that day and I felt good. And that was priceless in itself. It was coming off of a wedding job, feeling good about the wedding day, feeling good about the pictures I took. I think that was well worth it. So that is my user review for the EOS R. Hopefully after all of that talking, somebody out there in YouTube land or the internet world heard something that will help them either decide on the purchase or encourage them to take a look at it, and maybe it'll work for you. I'm not a videographer. The video guys have totally different things they're looking for, and I don't think, from what I've heard from video guys, that this is a professional option for them because they're more into 4K and they need different things on the camera. But for a stills photographer, this EOS R mirrorless, to me it's a dream. It's been working great, and I'm loving it. So there it is. I just wish Canon could get that doggone packaging a little bit better. Do something with that. All right. Other than that, great job, Canon, on the camera. I'm digging it. So if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in seeing content like this, I'll be reviewing products that I've gotten as a photographer, so it can help somebody else decide on what to buy, what not to buy. I'll also be posting little Q&A sessions with clients of mine, just so we can maybe hear who some of these people that I shoot are. Just fun stuff, little questions and stuff like that. So stay tuned. Like I said, thanks again. Rich Monyer from Paul Marcus Photos. Peace.